Welcome everyone. Today I will be diving into the class reboot for Ninja. I hope you liked the trailer. It was a tribute to the old Awakening Ninja trailer that got me hooked on the class 5 years ago. In this video, I will cover what type of class Ninja is, if you should play it, as well as some of the new things Succession and Awakening got. I'm also going to add some movement strings, combos, and my initial thoughts on the reboot. If you're new to Black Desert, and you're trying to figure out what class you want to play, maybe Ninja is the class for you. Ninja stems from the traditional MMO rogue archetype. However, Black Desert's version of Ninja takes a new spin on it, an extremely fun one I might add. In Black Desert, each class has access to two different specs, Succession and Awakening. You could choose which one you want to play at level 56 with the questline. Keep in mind, there are classes that only have one spec, like Shy or Archer. Ninja is fast, agile, can stealth, and has the ability to fight many enemies at once. He has strong burst damage and can constantly apply pressure to strike fear into his opponent's soul. Ninja has many animation cancels and requires a lot of training to push the potential of the class, giving him a high skill ceiling. If you enjoy doing crazy cool combos and moving at lightning speed, Ninja might be the class for you. With the reboot, Ninja was given a few new options in both Succession and Awakening. I'll go over some of the major changes and save the rest for a more detailed guide in the future. The good thing about the Ninja reboot is that if you learn from the previous guides, you already have a good foundation and can pick up these new buffs fairly quickly. Alright, let's move on to the Succession changes. Succession has received a new skill called Prime Heart Aiming. It's a more powerful skill than Fatal Blow and provides a 50% accuracy buff for 3 seconds. It's a great way to increase your follow-up damage. You can cast it by pressing the left mouse and right mouse together during Shadow Slash. It has a couple animation cancels into other skills, which is great for combos. Alert Stance is Succession Ninja's primary method of protected movement. It's an instant forward dash that looks like a teleport and allows you to freely cast many skills afterwards. Alert Stance can now be activated from two new options, Prime Beheading the Dead and Prime Black Moonlight. These alert stances can only go backwards. It has a super armor upon cast as well as a frontal guard during the active state. You can activate it by pressing right mouse button after Evasive Shriek and Malice, Prime Smokescreen, Prime Beheading, or Prime Black Moonlight. Alright, moving on to Awakening. Serpent Ascension's transition version of the skill has been removed, giving back the original one-wave Serpent. This allows you to cancel and move freely after casting extremely fast. The PvP damage has been reduced, however. One of the downfalls of the Transition Serpent was that it was clunky and it forced Ninja to be stationary a little longer than needed. Ninja is a class that is constantly moving, so having a skill that restricts your movement, even if it's a little, will be detrimental to the class. Vacuum Slash, Corrupt Sword Dance, and Sudden Decapitation now have frontal guards on them. What makes these changes unique is that Awakened Ninja used to heavily rely on Serpent in order to deal the majority of their damage. Now, they can reliably cast these forward guard skills as a form of secondary protected damage. Drastic Measure lost the bounce CC, but it gained something much more valuable, Lingering Super Armor. In the past, Drastic Measure was heavily underused because it was weak, didn't have many animation cancels, and the most important part of the skill didn't have any protection, the swing. It can now be cancelled in various different ways. The core version was also changed to now apply the bound. As noted earlier, these are just a few of the major changes. There will be a more detailed guide in the future for both Succession and Awakening, so stay tuned. Movement is the soul of Ninja. It's what separates us from rogues in every other MMO. Before we get to do the combos, you must first learn how to move in order to land a hit or keep yourself safe. You can't do any combos if you're dead. Succession's movement is heavily based around alert stance, allowing you to burst engage at lightning speeds, giving your opponent very little time to react. I'm going to show you some basic movement strings along with engages that go with them. You first cast Ghost Step, then Ninja Step. Activate Smokescreen by pressing spacebar during the Ninja Step, then R&B to activate the alert stance, then Beheading, and R&B to activate the alert stance once again. You first Ghost Step, then cast Malice and Evasive Shriek and Malice in rapid succession. Make sure you press R&B as soon as you press the Evasive Shriek and Malice in order to activate the alert stance, then Shadow Stomp. Succession's blazing fast speeds allows you to catch your opponents off guard. In most scenarios, people who aren't prepared to fight a Succession Ninja usually aren't able to react to our engages. The element of surprise is your greatest strength. Use it to its full advantage. Awakening's movement is heavily different from Succession, as it's more dependent on how well you control your frontal guards through C-swapping, stance cancelling, and the use of Silent Charge, giving you time to read and assess your situation before you make your next move. It's less of a burst engage and more of a sustained and calculated movement. I'll show you some basic movement strings, however, going to add a component of knowledge along with them to help you understand how to play Awakening better. I start off in Awakening, Go Step, then Stance. You'll notice that when I cast Stance, I pause a bit. The stance gives me a lingering frontal guard, allowing me to pause and assess the situation in case I need to change direction in order to keep myself safe. Then an angled Silent Charge by adding the D input, then Murderer's Intent, then hold C for C-swap. I also make sure I turn my camera behind me in case there's a target coming up. Starting off in Pre-Awakening, in this movement string, I use Go Step, then Ghost Greeting into Shadow Stomp, then C-Swap to give myself another frontal guard. Then I Go Step, Stance, to reposition myself before casting Silent Charge, to see if I can change what I need to do, then Merge Intent into C-Swap at the end, gives me another lingering frontal guard, allowing another opportunity to assess the situation to make my next move. Starting off in Awakening, I begin with Ninja Step into Corrupt Sword Dance. I activate the R&B input as soon as possible to give myself a backwards dash while maintaining frontal guard, then Go Step. At this point, I turn my camera, then press Stance in order to obtain frontal guard in that direction. Then turn my camera again in order to cast Silent Charge, then Murderous Intent into the C-Swap, and turning my camera once more to control my frontal guard. Awakening is very fine-tuned and requires a lot of control over your frontal guards. One little positioning mistake may cause you to get hit and die. You are constantly thinking about your next step with every frontal guard skill you cast. So, work on aiming your frontal guards towards your opponent so you never give them the opportunity to hit behind you. Alright, now that you've learned some of the new skills and movement strings, let's move on to some new combos. I'm going to break down combos into 3 sections, beginner, intermediate, and advanced for both Succession and Awakening. Keep in mind, just because there are beginner combos doesn't mean that it's not effective in large scale. The advanced combos are more often used in 1v1 scenarios due to being much longer, though they are riskier to use when there's more than one opponent. Learn what you need to safely secure a kill on your target. That is what it means to be a ninja. Alright, let's start off with Succession combos. You first press right mouse button into Shadow Stomp. This allows you to cancel the animation of Shadow Stomp, which causes a float. Then press Blade Spin, which is activated from your quick slot. I have mine set to 1. Then Shriek and Flight. This will be your second CC, a float, followed by the left mouse button flow, then Red Rain to finish them off. You first press Malice, then Evasive Shriek and Malice in rapid succession. Make sure you press the right mouse button to activate Alert Stance. Then Shadow Stomp, this will apply your first CC, a float. Then Blade Spin from your quick slot, followed by Shriek and Flight. This will apply your second CC, another float. Make sure you press the LMB to activate the flow, then Foxclaw, and then you can just hold the left mouse button to activate Black Moonlight. We'll start off with the grab, your first CC, a bound, then beheading into the Malice cancel. Since they're on the ground, your beheading will not proc the stun. Then Shadow Slash, Prime Heart Aiming, then Evasive Shriek and Malice, Alert Stance to go behind your opponent, Ghost Greeting, then Black Moonlight. This will apply a Standing Stiff, a secondary CC, then Alert Stance, followed by Shadow Stomp. This will apply your second CC, a float. Make sure you camera turn at this point. Forward Fatal Blow. This will apply air attack modifiers, increasing the damage. Then Blade Spin. Floor Sweeping to apply a 10% down attack modifier. It also has a chance to proc down smash, but you won't need it. Then Shriek and Flight plus the flow with LMB, and then Illusion of Restraint. Alright, moving on to Awakening combos. You first use Katana Shower. You gotta make sure you use the core version as it will apply a float. Then Murderous Intent. This will move you forward to put you in position in order to use Serpent Ascension, and then Vacuum Slash. You start off with Katana Shower, using the core version again as it will apply a float, your primary CC. Flashing Light applying an evasion debuff, then Murder's Intent, this will apply a Standing Stiff, a secondary CC, then Serpent Ascension, this will apply your second CC, a Float, then Drastic Measure, Blade Spin, Malice, then Shadow Slash Heart Aiming into Shadow Stomp. This is a new animation cancel, and then you finish it off with Illusion of Restraint. First, rebuff your Ghost Claw for the 70% attack speed buff. Then Awakening Grab, which will provide your first CC, a Bound. Then 1 proc of Sudden Decapitation, then Vacuum Slash, it's an animation cancel. Then Drastic Measure, it will cast the Instant Charge version, then hold left mouse button to activate Flashing Light, then Murder's Intent to land a Standing Stiff, a secondary CC, as well as position you closer to your target, followed by Execution from the quick slots. This will apply your second CC, a Knockdown, into Serpent Ascension and Katana Shower. Blade Spin from your quick slot again, Malice to animation cancel, Shadow Slash Heart Aiming, animation cancel it into Shadow Stomp, and finally you finish it with Illusion of Restraint. I know some of these combos may be daunting, so I suggest breaking them down into a couple parts, practicing them until you feel comfortable, then adding a few skills at a time until you finish the combo. Keep in mind these are all basic combos with no targets around. As you fight more people, you will need to use less skills to keep yourself protected, or replace the filler skills with some movement skills to not get CC'd. I will dive into more detailed combos for both 1v1 and large scale in a future guide for Awakening and Succession. I appreciate the thought process and the hard work the developers have given into all of the class reworks. I do think Ninja didn't need that many changes, as it was already a strong class. While there's probably some quality of life changes or minor bug fixes I think Ninja still needs, it's a very fun and rewarding class when piloted by a skilled player. Succession got 2 more alert stances. While this adds more frontal guards into the kit, it also creates a lot safer opportunities of counterplaying opponents while engaging. This may cause you to burn more stamina, but I think it's a good trade-off. We might need some stamina gain or regen in the future, I think, but I think it'll take some time to get used to. Prime Heart Aiming is a great filler that can be used in the beginning of your combos rather than the end. The accuracy buff may be a little short, but the amount of damage you gain if it lands is quite significant. Awakening always had trouble of applying damage outside of Serpent Ascension. Now, with the new reboot, it has several secondary options for protected filler damage. Successful grabs being super armor nowadays is also a major help to both Succession and Awakening for large scale, giving us another opportunity to grab those block classes without getting heavily punished for them. Grinding has drastically improved for both Succession and Awakening. We're easily a top tier PvE class, but it does require a bit of sweat if you want to min-max your trash loot, which I think is a fair balance. Which do I think is better? Whatever is more enjoyable and fun for you, to be honest. You will grind longer sessions if you enjoy playing the class. I prefer grinding on Succession personally. With the new reworks, I think Ninja's in a strong place. We're not weak, nor are we at the top of the food chain. It'll take some time to figure out what the strongest classes in the meta are, but for now, I'm enjoying the new Ninja. I'll be creating a new Succession and Awakening guide in the future when I have better understanding of the Ninja reboot. I don't feel comfortable releasing a guide with only just a few days of playtime on it, as it's not fair for the viewer or myself. I hope you guys can understand. I encourage you all to try out new things, and leave a comment below on what you think of the Ninja or any class reboot, and I'll catch you on the next video.